The IEC's Deputy Chief Electoral Officer, Masego Sheburi, says the inclusion of independent candidates will lead to a long ballot paper. This may also lead to delays in announcing the election results, and this is in light of the Constitutional Court ruling on independent candidates only needing 1,000 signatures last week. We're now joined by Mr. Sheburi via video link to take a look at how the 2020 elections will be impacted. Sir, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I do not believe we have spoken in light of that ruling last week. The IEC's reaction now that you've had time to digest the ruling.
Thanks for the opportunity to do that. The Commission welcomes the clarity that the court ruling brings on the matter, especially as it relates to the quantum of signatures that candidates require. The only thing that we are worried about is that the court gave a ruling in respect of independent candidates and left the requirement as they were as it relates to unrepresented parties. We have already received notification from two entities that intend to go to court to ask court to extend the relief that it granted in respect of independent candidates to unrepresented political parties. That introduces uncertainty in our preparation, but we'll await and see what comes out of those challenges. We are currently seized with adjusting and rewriting our IT systems because they were predicated on the requirement being 15% of a quota. We'll finalize the rewrite to give effect to the court ruling that for independent candidates, they only require 1,000 signatures in order to be nominated to stand for elected office.
The notifications of two legal challenges, what are they based on and who has brought them forth?
The communication that you have received from Rivonia Cycle, which had joined the proceedings as a friend of the court, as well as one of the applicants in the previous court ruling, which is Build One South Africa movement. They are asking the court to extend the finding that the 15% requirement as a way of standing for elections is irrational and unconstitutional. They're asking the court to extend that relief to also include unrepresented parties because, as I said, the court only found that scheme was irrational and unconstitutional only as it related to independent candidates.
Why does this introduce uncertainty?
Because soon the process of candidate nomination must open. A contestant might start to submit their requirements on the basis of some certainty. We must rewrite our system on a level of uncertainty. As I said, we are rewriting in respect of independent candidates. We want clarity to also know that that relief also extends to unrepresented parties so that our system can be aligned to what the court ultimately decides.
Logistically, what does this court ruling mean? And maybe you can talk us through what it is we saw with the first democratic election in terms of the ballot paper. What are the concerns from the IEC in comparing 1994 to what we are about to see in 2024?
What the court deals with is a principle which we think is well accepted, that there must be requirements for candidate nomination. This is so because an IEC must make proper arrangements for the exercise of the right to stand for office, but it must also give assurance that those elections will be conducted on a free and fair basis. The requirements for candidate nomination are well established in all democracies and in all elections. If you set those requirements so low that everyone can be able to contest, you are also unintentionally leaving the door open for persons who do not stand a chance of being elected, people who do not have support. You are opening the door for them to also stand as candidates. The only issue that we have with that scheme is that it makes the ballot paper unwieldy and very long. If you consider that the ballot paper is the only tool available to a voter to find a party or candidate of their choice, to record a vote for that candidate, and for the IEC to translate that recorded vote into representation. A ballot paper must always be friendly in the hands of a voter. If you present a voter with a very long ballot or a ballot that spans multiple pages, they'll take time to find their party. They may inadvertently end up miscasting their ballot or voting or even spoiling their ballot. So our only concern is that we should not have so many candidates that they dilute the ability of voters to vote on an informed choice and therefore watering down their entitlement to free and fair elections.
How do you remedy that? Are you able to go on education drives to then educate the voter? Or is there a bigger problem maybe in terms of will you need more boxes, will you need more staff? When you say that the ballot paper will be longer, you spoke of a ballot booklet, I think it was, on Friday before Parliament. What is the difference? Is it just about the voter or is it also a logistical nightmare?
It's a logistical nightmare. However, we want to put the voter at the heart of the discourse because other than that, it's almost like you're making excuses and want to do the bare minimum. We anticipate that we must procure additional ballot boxes because with increased contestants, the ballot paper will be longer, will be multiple pages as we suspect, and the ballot boxes will fill much quicker than has been the case hitherto. Two, we anticipate that we may have to adjust our staffing provision in certain voting stations because we expect that the voting process will take that much longer, including the counting process. As it relates to the plans that we have for the ballot paper design, we have ballot paper designs that we have already approved to anticipate a number of permutations. For example, if we have more than 48 parties or contestants in a single election, in that instance, we are unable to guarantee that the ballot paper will be that which the voters are accustomed to, i.e. parties set one after the other on the ballot. We are already looking at a 2-column ballot paper. However, if the number of contestants in any election go beyond 90 contestants, we are already looking at multiple pages of a ballot paper set in double column. Hitherto, South Africans have never voted on such ballot papers. We are increasing our education as it relates to balloting education, but we accept that no amount of balloting education will eradicate the threat and risk of miscast and spoiled ballots.
These additions, does it mean that voting day will be adjusted? Will we need more than one day to vote as a result of all of this?
In terms of the law, the voting day is designated as a single day. So to the extent that the law still stands, we must make voting day work on a single day. The Commission is not yet contemplating amendment to that scheme because it introduces other risks. We will make voting work on that single day by increasing our staffing, increasing the layout of voting stations and other efficiencies at the level of a voting station.
Where does South Africa print its ballot papers, and do you have enough capacity with these changes that are still going to be coming also after these two parties have also brought their issues to the courts? Where do we print our ballot papers? What do these changes in terms of what the court has ordered mean for printing houses if they are in the country?
We have anticipated the difficulty that we're going to have for printing. As a result, we ran all our procurement processes much earlier. As we speak now, we are in the stage of finalizing our assessment of the printing capacity in the country. We believe that we have sufficient printing capacity in the country, and like we've done with all other elections, we will continue to print our ballots in the Republic so that we can control all the aspects from the printing up to the delivery to voting station. We have the printing capacity in the country with proper planning to make sure that we still continue to print the ballots in the country. The reality is that we have an immutable period of 21 days within which we must print and distribute those ballot papers. So we will allocate the printing to printers that can do that work, and we think we have planned adequately to mitigate the risk of having to print beyond the borders of the Republic.
What is a ballot booklet versus a ballot paper?
A ballot paper is a single page. It could be as big as half an A3 page. It could be as long as about 610 millimeters. A ballot booklet, as the name suggests, is something that is bound, multiple pages bound together to constitute a ballot paper. We've never used those. We've always used a single piece of paper, typically in most cases, no longer than an A4 page. And in the metros and in those areas where there's bigger contestation, slightly longer than 2 A4 pages to put together. But we've never been in the realm where we find ourselves, where we must contemplate more than a single page of layout of parties on a ballot.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon. The IEC's Mr. Sheburi talking to us about having to contemplate a ballot booklet versus a ballot paper in light of the Constitutional Court judgment last week, allowing for independents to contest on those 1,000 signatures.